president not just to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country, a guy who's a racist and a sexist and a homophobe. I'm running.
So, hey, it's Jordan. I am live. I'm live here in Detroit from Bookie's Bar and Grill. The CNN debate just ended. We're here on the rooftop of Bookie's Bar. Obviously, you see the Bernie signs, enthusiasm. This was the Bernie debate watch party. I'm going to talk to folks as they're walking out. I'll give you my thoughts in a little bit. Can I talk to you guys? What's going on? I don't know. I'm not saying this is a Bernie supporter, but just somebody who has two eyes. Yeah. I've never seen him debate like this. I've never seen him fight as loudly in a debate. Yeah. And it seems like he kind of, I don't know, the first debate, he was kind of like just monitoring and observing, and it seems like this, he finally came to like a knife fight holding a knife.
Absolutely. I'm really excited by what I saw in this debate. So my name's Will. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I basically became politically active because of Bernie's run in 2016. I'm now part of the Sunrise Movement, which is a climate activist group, but I'm also supporting Bernie for 2020. And I think, so to answer your question about the debate, I do think his first debate was a little lackluster. You know, not everyone's perfect every time, but I thought he was amazing. And I also thought the takeaway from this debate is this debate was a win for the progressive movement. I thought that Bernie and Liz and even Marianne Williamson, the three most progressive candidates, just dominated the conversation. And I think there's still so many people in the debate, but those three proved that progressive politics is winning. So I was excited to see that. Yeah.
We good on sound? Are we good on audio? She said sound. Hold on. Let me see if.
I can do it again.
1 second. You have my phone? Hold on 1 second. One sec. So, one thing that I found interesting, you know, a lot of the other people were focusing on their age. Pete Buttigieg had to remind people 25 times that he's going to be 40 in a few years. I thought Marianne Williamson was very refreshing and strong. But what I liked from Bernie is he was talking about things in terms of, you guys could all have your plans, you guys could all talk, but we're facing a structural rotting. There's a structural corruption in this country that needs to be taken on. As somebody who is very passionate about climate change, he mentioned the fossil fuel industry more than anyone else. What were your thoughts on him talking about fossil fuel industry, but more importantly, talking about having to take on the crooks in certain industries and very populist tone?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think so many people in the activist community are supporting him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about your philosophy of how change actually happens, right? How sociopolitical change is possible. And I think the more, I'm still fairly young, I'm still learning, I'm getting involved with these things, but the more that I've been involved, the more convinced I am of Bernie's philosophy of change, which is that real change always starts from the bottom. It doesn't happen because we elect superheroes, right? It happens because of mass movements. And so earlier today, there was a huge rally, maybe 1,500 people, that marched down on this debate, and it was SEIU, it was Sunrise, it was the Young Turks, it was the Green Party, it was the Democratic Socialists, it was all these different groups coming together. And Bernie's the only candidate who, if he wasn't debating, he would have been there with us. He would have been in the rallies. He would have been marching with the working class people. So I think he embodies that philosophy, and that's why, at the end of the day, like, every time he has a closing statement, like the statement he just had, we're all reminded, like, oh yeah, right, he's the only one who gets it, that's how you make change actually happen. So, it was a good one.
I think Elizabeth Warren did fairly well. I think Bernie did better, but I think she did fairly well. What do you see as the substantial difference between the two? Because obviously some of Bernie's supporters have gone over to Warren.
Yeah, so I'll say off the bat, I think the media would love for to play up a Bernie-Warren conflict. They want conflict. I like Elizabeth Warren. She's probably my second or third choice. I think the left, some of the left is split about her. I think she's in it for all the right reasons, and I like her policies. The difference is on that philosophy, and I think she has great policy chops. She's very policy oriented. That's important. But at the end of the day, it's like, who do you trust to ignite the grassroots? And I think Obama's presidency, I have a lot of respect personally for Obama, but his presidency proved that good leadership in this rotten system doesn't work, and it needs to be from the grassroots. And so for me, it's like, who's going to inspire that grassroots energy? Tonight, out of nowhere, Marianne Williamson, maybe she's the one, I mean, I don't think she's really qualified to be president of the United States, but we need all the help we can get. I think she's a strong ally, and she speaks to that grassroots energy. So, but for now, I mean, just strategically, I also want to caution people, like, Biden is still coasting towards victory right now, and everyone says, oh, he's going to fall off, he's going to disappear. We should not underestimate the inertia of just low information voters voting for Biden. He's still way ahead, and so I want to see I want to see Bernie and Elizabeth and Marianne and Tulsi and maybe Andrew Yang. Like, we don't need to fight each other yet. Let's crush the corporate Democrats and ensure that we have a progressive, and then we can battle it out after that. So
thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. So that was Will talking the talk. Oh wow, it's already cleared out, so I better be quick. You want to come on over? What's your name?
I'm Jack.
What's your name?
I'm Jackson.
What'd you think of tonight? I thought that when you look at 2016, when you look at now, this was the most I've seen Bernie fight, like capital F fight.
Compared to last month, he improved a lot better. He got a lot more aggressive, which is, it was kind of sad seeing him last month, but he's really gotten back up there and he's really starting to take off the gloves and really fight.
And I think one thing he talked about, you heard all these other like moderates kind of like hemming and hawing, like it's not practical, it's not realistic, it's not this, it's not that. And he kind of just said, like, why are you up here if you think if everything has a limit, if you have no vision, if nothing big can be done? And I think he did it in a way that he hasn't before, kind of like talking like, are you guys trying to change stuff or just accept what your donors will allow?
Right. That's exactly what they're doing. They're just, they're pretending to be all like, oh, I'm kind of in the middle, but they're just really just hiding how right-wing they really are, and they're just, and it's crazy how many of them are actually taking corporate money and saying, I'm not taking corporate money. And like Warren was saying, I don't, go behind closed doors with a bunch of millionaires, but she does. Yes, she does. She takes corporate money and,
She has said that she'll take corporate money during the general election because she does not want to unilaterally disarm, which to me, if you're already rationalizing and making mini rationalizations with yourself, well, I have to take the money during the general, well, what are you going to say when you're president? So,
yeah, it's crazy, and I kind of can't believe that people support her the way they do, because she just flip-flops every week. It's just like, oh, I support Medicare for all. Wait, next week, she's gonna.
It's interesting you say that. I don't want to put my girlfriend on blast, but we were texting. She supports Warren, and that's fine. I don't have a disdain for Warren like some of my viewers do. If she ran against Trump, I would vote for her. I don't think Elizabeth Warren is Hillary Clinton. She's not Joe Biden. However, she has kind of hemmed and hawed on Medicare for all. So I think Elizabeth Warren, the way she speaks, her plans sound very nice to people. But I don't care what your plans are. I care what your record is. And you have a record of kind of going with the wind. I mean, WikiLeaks showed in 2015 you were angling to meet with Hillary Clinton's campaign. So you were already, before Bernie ran, before anybody ran, before Hillary ran, angling essentially to be her vice president. So to me, that's not somebody I know. Can I trust that she's going to fight for the things she's saying she's going to fight for? We don't need another President Obama, sorry, Ty, that right out of the gate is negotiating 75% of the way to the Republican Party. That was the problem with Obama. Historic president. Let me tell you something. A popsicle could have defeated George W. Bush in 2008. And a popsicle with the wind of the country behind them could have gotten... No. That's not what I'm saying. The momentum was there to get a single-payer health care in 2008. He had both houses of Congress. The problem is when you make these mini rationalizations. Another thing that CNN's certainly not going to cover, but I got to be honest with you. When Elizabeth Warren at the end evokes Native Americans and Native American communities, well, as somebody who froze my ass off for on and off 6 months in North Dakota, but more importantly than me, don't cry tears for me, as somebody who sees up close, I mean, yes, African Americans, make no mistake, but Native Americans have been treated worse than just about anyone in this country. So I don't want to hear about her evoking Native Americans when for 5 months she didn't say a goddamn thing about Native Americans when Native Americans were getting shot in the face with rubber bullets and grenades and freezing water and pepper spray. So again, this is not to say she's not Hillary Clinton, but the bottom line is, sorry for my rant, she was next to Bernie, and I just think Bernie, to me, has been more consistent than Warren.
Well, he has a track record going back, he marched with Martin Luther, if I'm not mistaken, and
I don't know if he marched with him, but he marched for civil rights during that time. Yeah.
Right, and what did Warren do? She doesn't have as clean of a record, and especially Harris, who wasn't on the stage tonight, but she raised her hand in the last debate about Medicare for All. She made just so many promises that she's going to break, right? Because her track record does not match at all. It's crazy.
And not to blow up your spot, I'm pretty sure you're the younger demo that Bernie's talking about. I don't even know if you're voting age, but putting that aside, Bernie's talking about, he gave his website out, he wants to bring in more young people. I think, hey, I'm not as great with the pop culture. I think he's meeting with Cardi B, again, to appeal to more young people. Do you think Bernie Sanders could bring in an unprecedented amount of young people, 18 and up, that might kind of be cynical or not into politics, but might vote for the first time? Because that could be the difference between not only him winning a primary, but defeating Donald Trump.
Right. So, young people tend to be kind of cynical and, unaware of what's really going on, but they still tend to be liberal. And I think yeah, that would be a good move for them because they're probably going to vote for at least mostly the right people or close to that. When, really a lot of them can be just very, very out of it.
Thank you. What's your name?
Jackson.
Jackson, thank you. Can I get Mom in? Come on in. Last name?
Coker. Kocher.
I saw you waving. The one thing that stood out to me, it was kind of like a progressive onslaught. I want to give Warren credit. Some of you might not like that. She did do good. Let's not pretend she didn't do good. However, I don't think she did as good as Bernie Sanders. I'm just going to tell you. I'm not saying that as like a Bernie bro. I'm saying that because I think Bernie, in some ways, kind of came out of a debate coma. I think the first debate, he was kind of like, oh, should I just stand in the middle and let them fight? And I think because of his silence, he allowed Kamala Harris to go up like 8 to 10 points temporarily. He allowed Elizabeth Warren to shine the night before, whereas tonight, it's like he either drank rocket fuel or like Cardi B called him GoDaddy. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I'm not sure how much Bernie's success really rides. I mean, as long as he doesn't do anything terrible in these debates, I mean, hopefully he'll bring more people in with him. But, I mean, he's talking stuff that I wanted to put but I'm kind of shy and I didn't want to be looked at, but I thought about putting a wealth distribution graph in 2009 on the side of my van. I mean, he's talking about the distribution of wealth. He's talking about all the things, how we're spending our money. You guys are talking about all the stuff that everybody needs to know about. So I think it's a grassroots movement, and I think that's what's important. And I've got these kids here that are so turned on about going out there and getting those young people to vote and getting people who haven't been voting signed up to vote and getting them out there to vote, because that's what it's going to take, getting these people that haven't been voting, getting the new people, young people out there voting. If we can do that, we can do this. We got to win this primary. If Bernie doesn't win the primary, personally, everybody else is just a way distant. He's a dream candidate. He's not perfect, but he is a dream candidate, and he's exactly what we need.
What's your name?
Jen.
And spell your last name again?
Coker, Kocher.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hold on, let's see. Hey, you guys got a minute? Hey, you guys got a minute? All right. Come on over. So, good meet you. So, I also saw kind of like, I don't know if you noticed, but it was like Jake Tapper almost had like a pharmaceutical industry executive in his earpiece. He kept asking these questions that were like pharmaceutical industry talking points, and Bernie actually mentioned, well, Jake, you're going to have a lot of pharmaceutical industry. I've never actually heard Bernie kind of like that directly go against corporate media propaganda before.
Bernie was aggressive, and I liked that line especially. Like, yeah, I mean, to call out like that is like at the root of so much of what this issue we're talking about, but then also be like, and they're going to be advertising on this network later tonight. I haven't heard him roll that quite that hard before, so I thought that was cool.
And Green New Deal, so obviously he was calling out the fossil fuel industry by name. Other candidates kind of gave, the words about climate change. What did you see out of him, Warren, others, as far as climate change, as that you think went far enough, or do you think they didn't go far enough?
I think he was strong. I think Warren was strong. I mean, it's like actually like. I think what's interesting is that so many of the candidates, like, at least it's one of those things where you even step back and you're like, wow, we're actually having this conversation, like, in a way that we have not been, in a way that, like, the other side, like, will not even attempt to. And so on one level, it's like, at a baseline, this is fine, this is long overdue, but this is good. but yeah, but you know, but I think certainly, I mean, I'm at this event here. I mean, obviously, like I'm a supporter of Sanders. I think he was the strongest on it, and I like that there was no any attempt to like put a wedge between him and I think Warren.
CNN was trying to, for sure.
They were trying. That's what that was the fight they wanted, and they didn't get it. And instead, they were kind of back to back, and I really liked that because it's like maybe that time will come where they've got to, you know, like really kind of break down the differences between them. But I don't think that time is now, and I think that like right now it's more important to really push the agenda and to push the real changes that they both support. So,
and lastly, I got to be honest with you. I thought Marianne Williamson did a pretty damn good job. I thought she came out kind of with her love message, but also like a 2x4 on some people. I think John Delaney was embarrassing, frankly. I thought a lot of these moderates kind of were like the eat your Brussels sprout kids candidates at a time when people just want to have some damn Twinkies, you know? These are healthy Twinkies. What do you think of the kind of battle between progressives and moderates? I think that between Bernie, Warren, at some points tag teaming, I think they kind of shamed a lot of these lower tier candidates.
I would agree, but I was also in a room where like, you know, of progressives who were cheering for those things. So it's almost kind of like I know there's a bias just by being here, and like kind of was the cheering on the TV or you know like so. But I thought they were really good. I thought they were really strong, and I think the progressives like kicked ass tonight, frankly. And I think those, you know, like really it was Bernie and it was Warren and it was Marianne who like, and what I like about her is that she like she knows the ways in which she's underestimated, and she's very smart at like kind of like backing up what she's talking about with like sort of a historical context, and it's often catches people off guard, and I think it's like it's something she's wielded very, I think, effectively, you know. But yeah, no, I think in terms of the progressive versus moderate exchange, I think the progressives came out really, really strong and on top.
What's your name?
Daniel.
Last name?
Land, L-A-N-D.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So come on over. So as a reminder, smash the like button. If you're watching right now, press the like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. If you're watching on your phone, you got to press the X button real quick. Press the like button. That will get this audience up way bigger. Also, it's a super chat. I feel like death. I pulled my back yesterday. I had to ice my back half of the afternoon. Ty filled in for me. So please, just give me some pity funds. Super chat, leave it in there. And also, we're in the field and we got to grow. Statuscoup.com/join. For the 600 of you watching, for those of you that are not a member yet, become a member tonight for as low as $5 to $10 a month. It makes a huge difference. It's how we get out and cover these stories, because CNN is not going to interview these people. MSNBC is not going to interview these people. Frankly, I don't even know if other independent outlets are going to be interviewing these folks. We are out here to give a voice to people who don't have a voice, to show that there is a much bigger progressive movement out there than you will see on CNN. Help us do it. Statuscoup.com/join. Come on in. What's your name?
My name is Amani Bird.
Amani?
Yes.
Hey, to me, one of the key highlights, whoever you support, Bernie Sanders came like a Game of Thrones dragon with the fire breathing. The corporate media is going to spin it like, oh, Bernie was very angry tonight. But to me, I haven't seen him kind of like fight like this in a debate.
Let me just say this. I'm 100% a Bernie fan with that. And I'm going to say this. Bernie came out exactly how he's supposed to come out. He came out with the fire tonight. He came out, Claus came out, shutting people down, shutting Delaney down, Tim Ryan down. All of them got shut down with that.
I wrote the damn bill.
I wrote the damn bill, damn it. With that. I mean, he really came out. This is what he should have done the first debate. And frankly, in his subsequent debates as well with that. I mean, this is exactly what he should have to do. Warren did well as well, but Bernie by far was the standout candidate. And I was going to say, the framing of a lot of the questions, frankly, within the CNN polls, like, for example, is Senator Sanders too extreme, for that, comparing him to Trump on foreign policy and stuff like that. Completely outrageous.
I love that. And you guys might not know this, so let me break some news for you. Trump has sent 2,000 troops to the Middle East in the last 2 months. Did CNN tell you that tonight? Did Jake Tapper tell you that? He sent 2,000 troops to the Middle East to fight Iran. I've heard this story before. So this whole false equivalence that, Trump is not starting wars. Trump has doubled President Obama's drone war. That's warfare, folks. It creates more terrorism. He's sending more troops to fight Iran. What do you think the sanctions on Venezuela are? It's killed 40,000 Venezuelans, estimates. Not to mention that we're bombing 8 countries at a time. We're at war. Trump is at the helm. So they were trying to equivocate between Bernie and him. I want to ask you on the Warren point, when I see Bernie and Warren next to each other, it's not that I have a disdain for Warren. She's better than Trump. She's better than Biden. She's better than Harris. But I see someone who sounds very good to academics, who sounds very good in terms of the way she articulates, but I don't see someone that I trust is going to fight as hard for the things that she's saying. What are your thoughts on the difference?
I share the same thoughts, as well with that. Look, I have nothing, I don't have this, there's a lot of people on the left who have like this, like a lot of vigor towards Senator Warren. I don't have that same vigor, but I will say this, between Senator Sanders and Senator Warren, with that respect, I mean, it's clear that Senator Sanders is the one who's more likely going to fight. I mean, it's even talking about, like, for example, the student loan issue. You know, Bernie's just saying, just cancel all that. Cancel all that shit. Get rid of it all with that. I have student loans. I went to regular college, grad school, all that. I got a lot of debt. Get rid of all of that. She's all saying, like, this 95%. No, like, it's just like, just get rid of all. Like, why stop there? Go all the way with that. And here's the thing with Senator Sanders, with Bernie Sanders. He fights. He is someone who has a million volunteers and growing with that. I'm sure he's going to increase more after this with that. Senator Warren, she has supporters. I'm not trying to downplay what she has. She has been doing well in the polls. Some better than Bernie. I mean, that's just to be straight up with that. But Bernie Sanders has a record and has shown that in this debate alone, that he's willing to actually fight. He's willing to kowtow the establishment that continuously beats him down. I mean, this debate is not proof of that alone. I don't know what else he has to prove in that respect.
And I'm going to ask you, I don't want to be offensive, but Marianne Williamson was very good, and she, I think, is better than Bernie on reparations. I think that, I mean, I don't know what Bernie's doing on that. I get like wanting to invest in communities and this and that, but it is a debt owed. I thought Marianne Williamson, honestly, in terms of breakout performances, she did better than Mayor Pete. She did better than Beto, who is lifeless, if you ask me. What do you think of Marianne Williamson?
I think she did well. You know what? I think she did well. You know, the reparations issue, on reparations, she's by far the standout. She comes out ahead on that issue by alone. I mean, I do a lot of work with restorative justice, and just the frame within that is actually important. It's, you know, it's restoring the harm that was done with that. That's the whole crux of reparation by itself. So I feel Bernie on investing in communities, the whole Jim Clyburn. That's all I find in danger. But the fact of the matter is that doesn't address the actual harm that's been done with that. So on points when it comes to what's that?
They don't address the debt made by the President of the United States.
So I feel what he's saying with that, but you're right. It obfuscates that point with that. Beyond that, though, I still feel like on some point she kind of was just kind of talking. You know, it depended on the topic with that. So overall, I think she overall did better than she did her first time with the I'm gonna fight with you, I'm gonna fight him with love, or whatever the hell she said. So with that,
I think she could be a great Secretary of Love.
I think so too. Yeah, her and whoever she was talking about last time could talk about that. But yeah, I think she did better this time.
And, I asked somebody else. I don't know about you. Sure. I felt like Jake Tapper had in his earpiece like a pharmaceutical executive telling him what to ask, because he was just repeating Republican talking points against Medicare for all, basically.
Foreign policy as well and all that. Jake Tapper was a hot freaking mess. Not just her, but not just him, but Dana Bash as well. Complete mess. The complete framing of all of the questions, for most of the questions on this debate, were like extremely right wing with that, and by itself is atrocious by itself. I mean, my goodness, let's asking, you know. So I mean, this, you know, is Medicare for all? Is that bad? It seemed like essentially, and then it's in allowing just like moderates like Delaney to just jump on and say
what I found amazing. No, it's okay. I understand trying to give fair time. Why is John Delaney, who's I think he's the lowest polling candidate, getting equal time to Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren? Who the fuck cares what John Delaney has to think? Who does? I'm all for giving people fair time, but not equal time to the highest polling candidates. That's absurd. That was my thought.
Yeah, him, Governor Bullock, Hickenlooper, whatever his name is, the serial. I mean, they're done. They're done. Stay off the get off the stage. No one cares what you have to say. You know, it's just. I mean, I just feel like it just. I think they purposely gave them time to speak just to serve as an antagonist, a faux antagonist, I should say, to Bernie Sanders with that. And I think that was just a complete waste of time. It made the debate go on much longer than it should have.
I want to ask you because I see CNN is trying to kind of, reinvent recent history. They keep saying, you live in Detroit, you live in Michigan. They keep framing it that the only candidate that could win in the Midwest is a moderate centrist candidate. Well, wouldn't we have a President Hillary Clinton if that were the case? Because I was in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio in 2016. It's not like all of the people just suddenly decided what they care about. Trump proposed, he didn't mean a word of it, universal health care as a candidate, ending the wars, repealing NAFTA, all these things that were kind of progressive. So where is this coming from that you have to be a centrist, big pharma loving, big oil loving, big Wall Street loving centrist to win over like either black people or Rust Belt workers or blue collar workers? It seems like by all the polls, they favor progressive legislation.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Look, I mean, I think just the whole run to the center, run to the middle thing is just kind of a tried and true, well, it's not even true because it's false, Democratic strategy that has ultimately failed. I mean, look, when Barack Obama was president for 8 years, I mean, we lost over 1,000 seats in both houses of Congress within that.
Be careful, he thinks he's Black Jesus.
Oh, nah. That's a lie, man. I mean, when Hillary Clinton wasn't even in Michigan. I know people who volunteered for her campaign in 2016, and they were asking, where the hell is Hillary? And she was nowhere to be seen. Why? Because she thought she had it on lock. She thought she had black people on lock. She thought she had Michigan on lock, and she didn't, because she isn't the people who are going to vote for her just because, we're not Trump with that. It can't roll with that. The center is not where the energy of the party is. It's the left with that. That's where the popular thing, Medicare for All has 70% approval with that. Green New Deal has higher approval. 50 minimum wage has higher approval with that. That helps all throughout. And we can get into the nitty gritty about how that may help, the specific agenda of certain groups. Like, for example, people want black issues addressed and, issues that address immigration and whatnot. Detroit is a diverse community. We got Southwest. We got a large immigrant community. We got Dearborn that has one of our largest Muslim populations in the U.S. within all that. There's many things that can talk to that. And you don't get that. You talk about milquetoast policies like, we just need to stop Trump and, bring division, bring us together.
So what you're saying is the guy who pushed NAFTA is still for the TPP, wrote the crime bill, welfare reform, bankruptcy bill, repeal Glass-Steagall, Patriot Act, Iraq War. Am I missing anything? You're saying that guy is not going to win Michigan, Joe Biden?
Not. No, man, you're done. It's over. Get out. Don't come to Michigan with that shit, man. You got to come in with plans. You got to come with plans. You got to come with tangibles with that.
And last question. I thought that this debate, maybe, I don't know if they talked before, but Warren, Bernie kind of tag teamed a little bit. But it's still basically, the truth is by the data, Warren is pulling from some of Bernie's vote. I think, I'm not saying drop out at all, but she's pulling from Bernie's vote, and I don't think she's ever going to get any higher because she's not going to take all the Bernie voters. So if you have these two on the left, what kind of gives? Do you think Bernie has to continue after this debate? There's not another debate till September with his message. Do you think he needs to, after a while, start being a little bit more specific about their differences? What do you think? Because Bernie's going to have to pluck away some of her voters back to him.
I think I think kind of a both with that. I think he's maintained his message, but also do more to differentiate the difference between him and Elizabeth Warren. That's not to attack her. That's not to do that. But the fact of the matter is, there's a difference within that. And the fact of the matter is, he has the record to distinguish that he is more of a fighter, that he will actually push for Medicare for all. He's not going to waver and go, maybe we're bringing people to the table. No, it's going to happen. If you don't, I'm going to go to, like he mentioned before, that I'm going to go to you. If I'm president, I'm going to go to your state. I'm going to primary. I'm going to challenge against you. We need to make this happen with it. But he does need to differentiate more, especially to voters who are, equivocating that they're the same. And they're not. And this is not to cause some type of division within the progressive movement. But the fact of the matter is, there's a difference. We can't just act like they're the same and we should just kumbaya with both. I'm sorry if I was kind of garbled. Yeah.
Could you spell your name for me?
Yeah. I-M-A-N-I.
Last name?
Bird, B-Y-R-D.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, do I got any of you peeps over here? Oh, you're kicking us out?
agree. Downstairs we got a bunch of the main organizers from Metro Detroit for Bernie, and
okay.
I'm sure some of them would have.
Okay, cool. I'll be down. I'll come down. Cool. What's that? Come on over. So you're a union guy, from what I remember. To me, I don't know. Some people are going to call me biased. I'm open about my bias. No, but I think Bernie dominated the debate. I think Warren was very good, but I think Bernie I think Bernie dominated just because of how kind of stale he was the first debate. It was kind of like a guy that just kind of came out of a debate coma. I'm not saying a campaign coma, but he hasn't been like this in most of the debates. If you know status quo, I've been saying, Bernie, take off the gloves. What'd you think of him tonight?
Yeah, I agree. I think he did much better than the first debate. The four people at the bottom really took him on, but, when everybody wanted he to attack Warren, and Warren to attack vice versa, but didn't happen. And I thought that he was very strong, and he's going to pull further ahead.
And you're with the Sunrise Movement. I don't know. I don't really hear the moderators phrasing climate change as a crisis. Right. It seems to me they just ask it like any other policy question, but not specifically like it's a crisis. Do you think do you think the importance of it was really addressed tonight?
Not at all. There was about 8 or 9 minutes in this debate, and the second of the two debates, the last time there was 6 minutes total, and only 4 out of the 10 candidates got to answer in that one. There was maybe 7 or 8 of them answered it this time, I believe. I'll also say I'm also worked with DSA, and I'm from Grand Rapids, and there needs to be so much more of an emphasis on climate change, and it's just pathetic, and that was the point of what the Sunrise Movement did here in Detroit, to get climate change, to be the top issue, and instead, you heard it was first 45 minutes of Medicare for All, which is also very, very important, but, it was so slow moving for a long time, and took forever before it finally came around just for a little bit.
Well, they're fracking the hell out of Michigan.
Yes.
You got pipelines going all over the Great Lakes. Obviously Flint, which Ty and I just had 2 meetings on yesterday. We didn't go live from the meetings for obvious reasons, but we'll have some news on Flint. Status quo is not stopping our coverage of the Flint water crisis. You'll have candidates who drop into Flint before a debate during the campaign and then forget it. We don't. We stay on Flint. Because to me, if an American city is poisoned by the government and then left to die after the fact, it's kind of a big fucking deal. That's just my opinion. I want to ask you, you looked at it was kind of like a really kind of shameful battle between like John Delaney, Bullock, basically telling you like, eat your broccoli. Like, don't dream of anything. We can't do big things. We can't even do sensible things. We can only do like what the non-existent moderate center will allow. I mean, the truth is there is no more center of the country. You're either on the hard right, on the left. The center is kind of middle ground. Hey, stick around. We're gonna stick around. There's kind of just the right, the left. The middle is much less. But it seemed like a lot of the questions actually were framed to try and elevate moderates to go against Bernie. Did you kind of look at that?
And, there was a little bit of drown out, but I believe, I know Bernie called out the media for,
finally,
basically Republican talking points. Mm-hmm. And, Williamson at one point said, too, that I can't believe some of these candidates up here are Democrats. And so that was great to see. I hope that grasps people's attention and just says that we can put this Democrat-Republican bullshit away, and that it doesn't matter, like, CNN spending all their time to pretend like they're, to me, basically conservatives. And they pretend like they're in the middle or on the left, but it's, just corporate owned and whatever to make money.
And I think there's an important point, and frankly, if I got to be critical of one thing, Bernie's still not explaining Medicare for All the right way. So they're intentionally framing it as a middle class tax increase, right? So an increase is when something goes up, right? So I hate to borrow from a really, really terrible person, but if Bernie has to borrow Karl Rove's chalkboard, you put, here's $10,000 in tax increases on the left, right? Here's the $15,000 in what you and your family pay in health care premiums. You pay that $15,000 for money they take out of your paycheck for health care, co-pays, deductibles, co-insurance, hidden bills that come. So you got $15,000 up here. What is that? Is that a tax? Or it's called premiums, co-pays, and co-insurance. It's a tax. $10,000 down here is the tax increase, okay? If the $15,000 goes away and you're left with the $10,000, is that a tax increase or is that a tax cut? I'm not a campaign strategist. This is free advice. But stop allowing them to frame it as an increase.
Yes.
It's your plan. You have to explain how they're going to save money. But if you're saying the average family is going to save $4,000 to $5,000, stop saying, oh, they're going to save money on healthcare. No, they're going to save money total.
Yes.
Total. So you got $10,000 here in increases, $15,000 gone. That's a tax cut.
Yes.
And I don't understand why they're not describing it that way, because that's the truth. Because if you allow them to frame it as a middle-class tax increase, you're dead in the water. There's too many uninformed people. There's too many uninformed people, and there's way too many older people that watch CNN. And they're going to spread it to their friends, too. It's a tax cut. There's my free advice. Hey, you guys want to come over? Yeah. So, thank you, man. I appreciate it. What's your name?
Dan.
Last name?
I'm just into it, Dan.
Thanks. No problem. So, for the 700 and whatever of you are watching, I can't look at my phone. We got 730 last time. Press the like button. Smash that like button. Remember, it's a super chat. I don't even want to tell you how my back feels right now. I'm on a leave and quite a few others. So smash that like button, super chat. This is a super chat. But most importantly, if you do one thing tonight, we're at 645 status quo members. We want to get to 700 by the time we leave Detroit. My math is that's 55 more to go. For those of you on the fence, here's my pitch. If you're depending on CNN and MSNBC and New York Times and Washington Post to be the arbiters of the working class and progressives of America, if you depend on them to show what real people are going through, what real people think, what the real mood and pulse of actual voters are, then you're suckers. Yes, and you deserve what you get. Because I can promise you, there's not any other YouTube channel right now on the ground at the climate change march today and other stories we're covering. So if $5 a month or $10 a month, if you can do it, a lot of people can't. But if you have that money, that's how we grow. I haven't taken one meeting with a corporate plutocrat. I haven't taken one corporate sponsorship. We are growing the old-fashioned way. It's the harder way, but we're growing. So we're at 645. Sign up right now, statusquo.com/join. You also get bonus content behind the scenes. Ty and I did a great video yesterday just for members. Statusquo.com/join. I saw you downstairs. What'd you think? Because I thought this was like one of Bernie's more aggressive performances.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was on fire. I thought he didn't back down on anything. They were out to attack him, not just CNN. Everything was posed. Bernie proposes this far left-wing thing. What do you think about it? And then they wouldn't even let him talk much of the time. It was Warren. And I like Warren. But
Are you saying CNN's biased?
just a twinge. Right. The attack, Jake Tapper. What makes us believe that you're going to be different than Trump? That was beyond ridiculous. I was at the debate. We were like booing. I don't know if you could hear that. It was ridiculous. I thought that, like I said, I thought he was phenomenal. I thought some of the other ones were. I think they're going to be gone after this. I also really liked, I really liked Marianne Williamson. I loved her. I thought she had some great breakout moments. Bottom line, that's what I think.
So you were in the debate audience?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes.
So what? Because CNN was cutting people off. Whatever. What was the crowd feeling? I saw a lot of applause for Bernie. Saw a lot of applause for Warren Williamson. Not many others.
I thought that the crowd was very pro-Bernie. I got that feeling immediately. They were also very pro-Warren. Not so much really for anybody else, but like I said, I thought Williamson had some great moments, and there were a lot of applause, surprise kind of.
Wait, you might be breaking news, because I keep hearing from CNN that only moderates can win in Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio. And the audience, you're saying, like Bernie and Warren?
Absolutely, but we know that. But we know that moderates don't win, because if they could win, Clinton would have won, right? So we know that we need a progressive. That's what everyone wants. Obviously, CNN and the other, capitalist, platforms don't want him to win because they're going to lose funding, they're going to lose money. So they are obviously very, very biased. But as far as him and what he did and tonight and every it was a slam. It was a slam dunk with so many different times, so many different moments. Loved it.
And obviously, I mean, to be fair, a lot of my audience thinks she's Lucifer. I don't quite agree, but Warren did good, I think. The difference to me when I look at Bernie versus Warren, I think Warren articulates in a more satisfactory way to academics, capital D, like old school liberal Democrats. I think Bernie articulates better to blue collar, working class, shower after work kind of people.
Yeah, this is me. This is my thought, my opinion. The reason that I like Bernie so much is that he's willing to stand up to anybody. He's willing to stand up to Democrats, Republicans, anybody, independents, if he believes that. And I can't say the same. I don't want to slam Warren because I think she's good, but the one weakness that I see is that she is not willing to stand up against other Democrats or, just in general. She calls out the hypocrisy of the Republican Party phenomenally. I think she's awesome with that. But come after, some member of her own party, she's not willing to do that.
Well, I also think this is never going to be mentioned on CNN. I mean, you cannot get the majority of your domestic policies through if you vote for a $715 billion defense budget. A, it's immoral. To me, it's immoral that we're allotting that much money at the expense of investing in places like Detroit. But I believe in modern monetary theory, so I think there's enough money to go around. But putting that aside, unfortunately, that's not how the country's running now. So it does run on a budget, and how is she going to get through the 95,000 plans she's putting forward when she's voting for this military-industrial complex? Bernie, of course, Tulsi, but Bernie is really the only one tonight that is talking about, no, we got to stop with this endless war.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love Tulsi, too. I absolutely love Tulsi. I was just talking about that. I think she's phenomenal. When she stepped down, co-chair of the DNC, she's got guts, she's got balls, and I think that a lot of the candidates lack that, that is the one thing. Democrats are too nice. And I think that Bernie gets the hardest stuff. He says it like it is, and I think that he would really he would be the one to be able to get things done because of his willingness to go right out there and play hardball.
I could be wrong, but I didn't hear anyone else other than Bernie tonight directly call Trump a racist, a homophobe. I heard them talk about racial tinges of this and that.
Williamson did, I don't remember if she did tonight, but now she's done it in the past. I can't recall.
I think Bernie is doing it in a way that is. And he's been doing it for a while since. And honestly, the only way you knock down a bully is to punch him in the face. I'm not saying literally, but to figuratively punch him in the face. Right. What's your name?
Elaine Petrucci.
Spell your last name?
Petrucci. I think I met you in Standing Rock.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, nice
Appreciate
seeing you again, too.
So as always, we're the last one standing up here. Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks. We're the last one standing out here. I want to get Ty on camera because he has some thoughts.
He said damn near every South American, Central American country, but did not. That was intentional. I mean,
could have been, but that's okay. But that's the all right. He didn't bring up Venezuela, but we can't harp on every little thing. No, honestly.
You can't harp on every little thing.
Well, to me, the one critical thing I would say is I still don't think he's describing Medicare for all the right way. It's not a tax increase. Overall, it's a tax cut. You need us to wrap up? You need us to wrap up? Okay, yeah.
That's he's proposing that, and that's his bill. So you just saying you need to explain it better so they won't believe it later.
Right.
So we're talking about something that is like right or wrong. It has nothing to do with him.
And I think, bottom line, to me, I think Bernie's going to get a bounce out of this. Warren might get a bounce too. I think a lot of these other candidates are probably going to be dropping out within the next month. Oh, Marianne Williamson is going to get a bounce too. I think Delaney's probably gone. I think Beto is going to be gone in a few weeks. I think Hickenlooper gone. He's going to go run for Senate. I think Steve Bullock, did he ever even arrive? Probably gone in a few weeks. The money's going to dry up, which is good. We need the field to narrow down so the real candidates can duke it out. The one downside is that although Bernie and Warren and Marianne Williamson were very strong tonight, it would have been great if they could be as strong on the same debate stage with Joe Biden. That's not how it drew this time. Frankly, I don't really think it should be random. I think it should be the highest polling candidates on one stage, have a kids table for the others. I understand that some of the candidates like Tulsi Gabbard are at such a low number because of the media blackout. She would probably be higher if there wasn't an intentional media blackout. However, I don't see why somebody like Bernie Sanders or Warren or any of these people should be duking it out with like John Delaney, who the only person that supports John Delaney is his mother, if she's still alive. So that I don't agree with. But I think it's unfortunate that they could not go after Biden directly, because Biden, for anybody to have a chance, Biden needs to be brought down. We'll see tomorrow. Hopefully for the progressive movement, Biden remains in a debate coma. I think Bernie got out of his debate coma tonight. Hopefully Biden remains in his... If Biden has another poor debate performance, the money's going to dry up. They're going to start flooding Kamala Harris for the people. Kamala Harris, who just came out yesterday with the most ridiculous health care. It's not even a plan. It's a giant wet kiss to the health insurance industry, and she has the gall to call that health insurance plan Medicare for all. She came out with a plan that is essentially run by private insurance companies, having them offer more Medicare Advantage plans and calling that Medicare for all. Look at this. They're turning the lights out on us. It's wonderful. So tomorrow, it's fluid right now. I got a hot tip on a story involving CNN shutting out Bernie Sanders supporters today. They allowed certain candidate supporters in to the cheering section, where candidates, supporters get to stand with their signs and cheer. Somebody came up to me a little bit earlier and told me she was one of the Bernie supporters, and they were actually not allowing more Bernie supporters in. And the camera showed, Biden supporters, Warren supporters, and then cut away and never showed the Bernie supporters. So I'm trying to get in contact with her to talk to her tomorrow. There's a big immigration rally tomorrow. We're going to try and get interviews with hopefully some of Bernie's campaign if they're still here, maybe Tulsi after the debate, and we'll figure some other stuff out. I definitely got to ice my back because I pulled it yesterday, and I'm not really much good to you if I can't walk. You have any last thoughts? I know you had some thoughts on reparations, and Ty was on Team Marianne tonight.
That's not the only thing I had thoughts on, but yeah. No, I think she killed. I was talking to a lady today. Here you go. Here you go.
You're saying he was elected because he tapped into.
All right, you got me. There she go right there. But I was talking to a lady. Today, and she said, Marianne is like an angel sent down to call bullshit. And that's what she does, and that's what she's been doing. She's been just throwing it in their face. Like, look, you guys call yourselves Democrats, and you talk about what we can't do. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, look, it's not going to end until you change, till you stop taking money from corporations, just like the Republicans. And so that's what I appreciate about her. I think, if anything, she's here to throw the truth in front of these. Come on, get the camera straight. She's here to throw the truth in front of these candidates, because there's a lot of people that's watching these debates that don't know politics, that just listening to them right now don't even know that last year, 5 years ago, a month ago, they said something completely different. You know what I mean? Wouldn't even, and no one's challenging that. And I love the fact that she is at least there to push back. You know what I mean? And hopefully, like you said, I think Bernie was great because he pushed back. And I do agree with you that because we've been wanting it so much that when he did it, we love, it makes it a little more, it makes it bigger than I think it probably is. I think to me, I think them both. And I think Warren, we feel the same way about Warren, but she definitely had a good night. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, it's just BS. I mean, it was so loud at the end, when at her closing arguments, when she said the Native Americans. Oh man, it was like she was speaking in the microphone. If you know what happened in Standing Rock, but there's a lot of people that don't know, that fall for the bullshit. They don't know that she was silent until December 5th after Barack made a statement. Then she made a statement, but people had already got their arm blown off, shot with rubber bullets. Yeah. I was talking to him right before. It was like December 4th. But yeah, that's what I got to say. But I think it was good. I was hyped. This was like the best debate out of the three so far. Like, you know what I mean? I liked it. But I didn't appreciate Bernie not bringing up Venezuela. He mentioned every Central American country and not Venezuela. That was intentional. That's all.
Well, you're a hard act. I think he should have brought up Venezuela, but I'm not going to clobber him over the head because he has spoken out against U.S. coup attempts in Venezuela. To wrap it up, there's 800 people watching right now. So again, if you want to see us out in the field more, if you want to see us covering Bernie's campaign, if you want to see us going on the road to cover and challenge the Biden campaign, the Harris campaign. Hold on. Hey, how much time do we have? Like 5 minutes? Oh, perfect. Okay. Cool. Cool. Thank you. So we'll be right up. So, great guys. This is Bookies in Detroit. If you're in Detroit, good place. Bookies, good food, good company too. So, what I find important, again, statusquo.com/join. It's the only way. Trust me, if you're going to depend on CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post to cover this campaign, you're going to get either Donald Trump reelected or a corporate Democrat. I'm not saying we're the answer. Our job isn't.
They don't make you believe that there's no real progressives out there. Like, oh, there's not a lot of progressives. That's just Twitter. And no, but because there's no one covering progressives, and we're the only ones covering it. You can even look at other progressive shows. See if there's anyone out there right now talking to progressives, going to these rallies, and covering the events that's going on with them.
And by the way, we wear a lot of hats, so you guys don't always see this. We're doing investigative reporting. It's this thing that used to happen in America before the corporations hijacked the media. So there's stories I'm doing right now that you don't know about that are very important. Jen, the co-founder of Status Quo, is working on them with me. She's in the super chat right now. We had 2 meetings in Flint yesterday. I don't want to hear Beto O'Rourke. I don't want to hear any of these people that go to Flint for a few days before a debate to try and look like they're down with the injustice. They're with the people of Flint. Where were you when no cameras were there? Where were you when nobody was there? Where were you when the corporate media was saying crisis over? Where were you when these corporate media outlets and the ex-governor Rick Snyder of Michigan declared the water restored? You know where we were? We were knocking on 500 doors last summer to break a massive story that the state of Michigan was cooking the water numbers in Flint. They were running people's water before taking the samples. Status Quo broke that story. The corporate media wouldn't pick it up because they're not interested in dying black and white people in Flint. They're not interested if there's no sensationalism. If you can't tie it to Trump, Putin, or Stormy Daniels, they're not interested. We are. So we go out in the field, thanks to you. We have I don't know how many now, but we had 645 when I went live. And some of you might say, Jordan, stop asking for money, blah, 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 blah. No. Here's the thing, you can't have it both ways. You cannot scream and knock the corporate media all day, which I agree with, and then knock progressive journalists who are saying, help me cover these things. I'd rather be begging you to sign up as a member for $5 to $10 a month. We also have an annual plan, $179 annually. I'd rather be begging you than trying to have a meeting with Pfizer or ExxonMobil or Facebook or any of these plutocrats stomping on your necks. So that's why we ask you to sign up as members. If we don't advocate for ourselves, nobody will. But to tie all this up, and again, we're going to be covering things on the ground here tomorrow. To me, the story tonight is not Warren first Bernie. They basically, Warren did well. Warren did well. To me, the story was, I think collectively, Williamson, Warren, and Bernie kind of just swatted away this notion that you need a moderate to win back those states that Trump won. I think any objective person watching that's not a lobbyist, that doesn't work at a Democratic think tank, that's not that in part of the military-industrial complex, or doesn't get paid by CNN, would watch that and be like, no, we need big ideas right now. And wouldn't be like, that John Delaney, I think we do need to eat our broccoli. Sure, maybe some older voters that are down with complacency, are down with the slow death of gradualism, are down with the soft bigotry of low expectations. Maybe they like that. But those voters are not going to decide this election, because those are the voters the Democratic Party banked on last time. How'd that work out, President Clinton? So if moderates are what we need, Hillary Clinton would have been president. So again, just as important as tonight will be tomorrow night. Because honestly,
moderates is what Democrats, like you said earlier, if moderates are what Democrats in the Midwest and stuff want, or people in the Midwest want it, Trump wouldn't be president because he was campaigning as a populist. Like, he was alive, but that's what he was doing, and he won.
By the way, it's not just the Rust Belt. Yes, those are the important states. Iowa might be in play this time. I'm talking in the general election. Arizona is becoming a little bit more blue. I think it's a stretch to say Texas, but Texas has moved a little bit more blue. Georgia has moved a little bit more blue. There are states that you would never even imagine voting for a Democrat over a Republican. And that's why Bernie Sanders, if you haven't noticed, Bernie Sanders never stopped campaigning. He went down to Mississippi last year for Nissan workers. He's been to Kentucky. He's been to Kansas. He's been to a lot of states that Democrats have dismissed. Know your values, Tom Perez, the DNC chair. So I'm just saying, tonight's debate to me, I think Bernie dominated. Some people might say you're a Bernie bro. I think objectively he had the strongest rhetorical night. I do think Warren did well, but I think Warren kind of looks like, I think she looks like a knockoff product to Bernie, to tell you the truth. It doesn't mean if Bernie wasn't running, maybe she would stand out more. But to me, if you're a blue-collar worker in America, I don't really know how you look at somebody who's been saying this for years and you have seen fighting for you. Elizabeth Warren's not out with Nissan workers. She's not out.
He was still fighting. It didn't depend. He didn't lose the campaign in 2016 and just go back to the Senate and not do nothing. Amazon, think what he did to Amazon, what he did to Walmart.
Like, Elizabeth Warren didn't go to the Walmart shareholders meeting and give them hell. She didn't go just a few weeks ago, Jen covered it for us, to a hospital in Philadelphia that's being shut down by a greedy developer trying to build up luxury condos. It's a hospital in Philadelphia, Hahnemann Hospital, that's for low-income minority people. Bernie Sanders is walking the walk. He's been out on the picket lines with Wendy's workers and McDonald's workers. So I'm not here to do PR for him. I'm here, my thoughts and what I've seen and talking to people. This is the starkest contrast you could find to Donald Trump. And I also think Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, he's not running on any policies. He's running to recapture the soul of America. Well, let me tell you what that means.
I'm with her. That's what it means.
To recapture the soul of America really means let's move the corruption back behind the scenes. In the smoke-filled rooms, the DNC said we could decide the candidate just smoking cigars in the back room. Joe Biden is telling you, looking you straight in the face, and he's telling you, I'm going to make America America again, while he's going the same evening and giving blowjobs to Wall Street bankers. That's the truth. That's the truth. So if you think Joe Biden is going to substantially change anything in America, he's not going to tweet terrible things. He'll speak like any other Democrat or Republican world leader before Trump. But structurally, what he told Wall Street,
He'll make white liberals feel comfortable in their skin.
what he told Wall Street is true. Your standard of living is not going to change. Well, if their standard of living is not going to change on Wall Street, I got a promise for you. Your standard of living is not going to change either if you're watching. Because Wall Street, Mike Gravel says it best. It's the military-industrial complex and Wall Street. They're a tag team. One can't live without the other. And I think the corporate media is the third prong. So I think Bernie Sanders did himself well tonight. I got to tell you the truth. I also think he was smart at the end to give his website address, because I think he's going to get, that was basically like, give me money, folks. I need your help. because he's been lagging a little bit. I think that Bernie Sanders is going to get a big fundraising boost. I think he'll get a modest polling boost. I think Warren's going to get the same thing. But more importantly, Warren doesn't have over 1 million volunteers. Bernie does. And I think that's the difference. I think Mayor Pete is still going to be polling at 0% among black people. He's polling at 0% among black people. I think these other folks, money's going to dry up. Frankly, Amy Klobuchar seems like more of a college dean than an inspiring presidential candidate, not to be offensive. So I think Warren and Bernie did themselves well. Hey, Marianne Williamson, she could rise a little bit in the polls.
Just say something about Marianne. Think this is the quote of the day? What makes me qualified?
And I think Bernie had a good line, too. I wrote the damn bill, which is a good meme that will be recycled. So I thought it was a great night. We had a good day. We reported from the parking lot earlier. For those of you that aren't aware, I don't have it. So in Miami, MSNBC just gave us So here are the debate credentials that.
There's two.
Yeah, this is status quo. The debate credentials we were awarded.
There's one square and one circle. The square one means you're part of the cool party.
So this might as well be a sticker that shows the parking lot. We got credentials to basically stand in the parking lot and report from behind a bush. You know, home improvement back in the day, the neighbors spoke over the bush. You never saw the neighbor's face. We got credentials to report in Media Row from a parking lot. You had to bring a tent, which we don't have the equipment or the means to bring our own tent. And it was basically Media Row is just where MSNBC, some big corporate outlets do their, what they call live shots, where they go live for the, it's not where the people are. We got denied to be in the spin room after the debate, just like we were for MSNBC. I guess we're graduating because at least we got something from CNN. So we got denied where, I'm not going to call out names, but there are certain individuals that got credentials to go to the spin room that don't have the audience we have, haven't even been around for as long as we have, but they got credentials. I think we're getting denied because they know who we are. They don't like who we are. They don't like that we'll challenge the candidates they prefer. And they are basically going to give us credentials to stand in parking lots. Well, as Franklin Delano Roosevelt once said, I welcome your hatred. We don't need the credentials. We would like them. Hopefully, eventually, as we grow, they won't have a choice but to let us in. But we'll continue making lemonade out of lemons. So we'll cover events at watch parties with the people. We'll go cover climate change marches. Tomorrow's a big immigration march. We'll cover things that matter. Obviously, I'd like to challenge some of the candidates and their campaign officials after. It would be a good opportunity. But if they're not going to allow us, they're not going to allow us. But it very much was like CNN is an occupying force. They've taken over the entire field of Comerica Park in downtown Detroit. And we got credentials. Huge logos. And we got credentials to stand in a parking lot. So it was very nice. Before we wrap, let me read a few comments here. I don't even know how many people are watching. Oh, wow, we got 1,000 people watching. So let me read some of the comments here. We got the beautiful skyline behind us. And for the 1,000 people watching, remember, status quo can only grow if how far you take us. So I'm coming here with a bad back. Ty actually needs neck surgery. We're both out here limping along because we are trying to grow status quo. Jen's not with us in person, but she's with us in spirit. She's doing a lot of the work behind the scenes. She's doing the super chat. So you could help status quo grow. We could cover not only debates, but Bernie on the campaign trail, Tulsi on the campaign trail. We could go and challenge some Warren supporters to tell us specific reasons they like her over Bernie. I would love, love, love to go follow Joe Biden to his Wall Street fundraisers and beyond. Ty is actually coming back with me from Detroit. He's moving to New York permanently starting this week. So we're going to be out in the field a lot more. If you didn't know, he was in L.A. for the last year.
For my life.
Yeah, for his life. So he's moving to New York. So we're going to be out in the field a lot more. But we can only do it with you. I'm not asking you to become a member so we could go have a nice steak dinner. I'm asking you to become a member, statusquo.com/join, so we can grow a grassroots media company. We're not built on advertising like others. We have no corporate sponsors. We have no fat cat, plutocat investigator, investor. We don't want that kind of money because we are going to only thrive and break stories if we are fully liberated to cover what we want, how we want. And we break a lot of stories through people. So, for example, a Bernie supporter came up to me during the debate and told me that during, candidates stand with signs outside the debates. They were allowing Warren supporters, Biden supporters, Buttigieg supporters, all these supporters in, and they were not letting Bernie supporters in. Obviously, I want to talk to her and others to get more information. They also cut the camera away. They showed Warren supporters, they showed other supporters, and when Bernie supporters put their signs up, the camera went away. That is a national news network basically intentionally doing campaign work for other campaigns against one candidate. That's unbelievable. So we're going to interview that woman tomorrow. We're going to do other stories here, but it's all on you. Let's read some questions, comments. We love your guys' coverage. Thank you, TJ Powell. Go Ty. Ty filled in for me. I pulled my back really bad earlier, so I iced my back. I did some Aleve, so thank you to Ty for filling in for me. Been subscribed to Status Quo since the first video. JTF. I'm down with that. Thank you very much. I lived for a long time there, latest over 10 years. Of course they would do that. Exactly. So there's some outlets, I'm not going to name names, that ask you to become a member, and then they give you 24/7 Trump, his tweets, what he had for breakfast, all his vile things. And I think what the president says is important. I just don't think we have to cover it 24/7 because there's reasons Donald Trump was elected. And part of the reason there's so much anger and hopelessness out there is because there's no media covering actual struggle of real people. There's no media covering real struggle, real corruption, real injustice, real environmental genocide. The water is contaminated all over this country. Flint, Detroit, Milwaukee, Baltimore, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Florida, Oregon, North Carolina. I could go on and on and on. Yeah, Cape Fear River. The water screwed up all. You want to talk about climate change? Yes, water is important too. We don't have that discussion. We cover those stories. Let me tell you something. For those of you that are familiar with our work, Ty and my work at Standing Rock, many people think the next Standing Rock is Keystone. We'd like to be able to go cover the Keystone XL pipeline, which they're going to begin construction at the end of this year before the pipe is in the ground. Standing Rock is great. The No DAPO movement was great. But part of the problem was there's no time in American history where a federal judge has said, take the pipe out of the ground. Very hard to stop a pipeline if the pipe is already halfway gone. But part of the thing is you got to wake people up to what's going on before the pipeline is halfway constructed. We were in Seattle covering, I don't call it gentrification.
Just FYI, the First Step Act that Donald Trump proposed has a part in there who the people that's not qualified for the First Step Act are people who are arrested for blocking a pipeline that's being constructed.
Critical infrastructure. And by the way, I was running and you screwed my train of thought, but I'll get back to it. But what I'm saying is, like Bernie's talk, I don't want to compare ourselves to Bernie. We're not Bernie. But like Bernie's saying, like in politics, nothing changes unless it's from the ground up. Bernie, listen, if you're on a fixed income and you can't afford $5 to $10 a month to us, we get it. We don't want to make your situation worse. If you can't become a member, what you can do, we're live. We're not here this week. We're live Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Don't depend on YouTube to notify you. You'll get it 2 years later that we're live. Put it in your phone. Status Quo, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern. What you can do, join our email list. That's statusquo.com. Sign up. There's a section, join our email list, because that way we could tell you, we send out news first to our email list. We'll tell you when we're live. We'll tell you where we're going in the field. Very important. We will not spam you 5 times a week for money. Also, what you could do, we definitely need you to spread the word. YouTube is suppressing us. I'm sure, even if all your friends and family aren't capital P progressives, I'm sure you have some family members that care about, like, if their water is safe to drink. I'm sure you have family members that might not think it's a good idea to put pipe bombs under the ground all across America. And by the way, fracking is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. I'm sure you have people in America, people in your family that don't think it's right that we have homelessness exploding. I was saying, no one went to Seattle to cover, I don't call it gentrification, it's economic terrorism that Amazon and Jeff Bezos are perpetrating on the people in Seattle. Silicon Valley's are doing the same thing to San Francisco. Los Angeles, 16% increase in homelessness. Portland, Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York City. Bernie said it in the first debate. Why is it in the greatest country on earth, the majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck? The majority of people don't have enough money for a $400 emergency. People are living under bridges, homeless. Not the traditional image that the media gives of like these drunk hobos. People like you and me. I saw a guy in New York City that I went to high school with sleeping outside of Penn Station. Why is that? Maybe because we don't live in a country anymore. We live in the United Corporations of America. I say it every time I go live. This is not a country. This is a corporation. And the only way to change that, you don't just change that politically. You change it journalistically. You got to wake more people up to what's going on. And how do you do that? You do that by growing your YouTube channel. You do that by getting videos to go viral. You do that by becoming known for something. So what we're trying to become known for is that we go out in the field. We don't wait for a story to break. We go out and we identify which stories should be breaking. So we go out and cover the stories that no one is covering. There was nobody in Seattle when we went to go cover homeless people that are homeless because of Amazon. There was nobody here in Detroit and Ohio when General Motors laid off 15,000 people. By the way, after getting a $51 billion bailout from the federal government. By the way, after making $8.1 billion in profit last year, we went out and we interviewed laid off workers. We went out and we interviewed workers who are so scared of getting laid off. They're so intimidated even by their union. These are union workers that they asked Ty to black out their face so they could speak honestly. Nobody is going to Virginia. We went out, me and Jen, and we covered the fact that there are American citizens literally protesting atop their trees for over 30 days to stop oil companies from chopping down their trees and ramming a pipeline under their house. We went to Chicago. It's not a breaking news story that people are killing each other in Chicago, but we went there anyway because why are people killing each other in Chicago? Does it have anything to do with there are no jobs in Chicago? Could it have anything to do with there are food deserts in black communities in Chicago? Could it have anything to do by the fact that Democrat Mayor Rahm Emanuel gave the police unprecedented amount of force? When you're in Chicago, it looks like you're in Baghdad on some streets. The cops are an occupying force. We went down to Dallas. We covered the execution of 26-year-old black man named Botham John. Not any other national media there to cover this story. There was a black man named Botham John, came from St. Lucia, just hanging out in his apartment on a Thursday night. A white cop intruded into his apartment and shot him dead. She said, "I thought it was my apartment." This is a white police officer who, by the way, was allowed out of jail in 1 hour, got bonded out of jail in 1 hour, and was allowed to go home and scrub all of her social media. Luckily, she forgot to scrub her Pinterest, which shows that she had very, very Blue Lives Matter stuff up there, and she hated that Colin Kaepernick. How dare him kneel for civil rights.
And the other kid that got killed?
O'Shea Terry, another black man who got just point-blank range, shot 5 times, killed by a cop. So I don't say this all to brag. I say this all. We've done this basically scratching some pennies together.
And no one's covering those. That's why you bringing it up. Like O'Shea, no one covered that. We didn't find out about that until we got there, and we were able to talk to the lawyer there. Like no one covered that. We didn't know about that till then. I guess all these things that's going on that you guys care about, but the corporate media don't care about. And so you got to understand, like. You know, you put your money where your mouth is. If you heard of us taking corporate money or taking money from people that you guys don't like, you would stop fucking with us, and you should. So if that's the case, then you got to make sure that you putting it down for us, which you are. But we just, want to make sure you keep it.
And by the way, the problem isn't only corporate media, folks. It's all the media. I love some of my brothers and sisters in independent media. I'm not calling out any names, but the bottom line is, Don't say you're an independent media outlet. Don't call yourself a progressive media outlet if all you're going to do is be a reactionary force to Donald Trump 24/7. That's not progressive, it's not journalism, and it's a distraction. When Donald Trump tells 4 women of color lawmakers they need to go back home, do I think that should be covered? Absolutely. But when Donald Trump tweets every single day something terrible, do I think that should make up every segment we see on national television or digital news shows? I'm not naming any companies in particular now. Wink, wink. No. So there are a lot of outlets right now asking for your limited funds. I'm saying don't look at what they tell you they're going to do. Look at what they're doing, because we're out there doing it. I don't want pity, but let me tell you something. I should not be traveling right now. I just had my 2nd back surgery in a year. Some of you are going to yell at me. I had a massive herniated disc that was in my sciatic nerve. A piece of my disc broke off. It was stuck in my spinal column. I'm supposed to be icing and doing PT. But, and I pulled my back yesterday because like a fucking idiot, I jumped a wall to try and get to Danny Glover. Unsuccessfully, by the way. No, I was trying to jump the wall because Danny Glover was walking out. Anyway, I digress. So the point is, as important as supporting Bernie or whichever candidate you support, got to support real independent media, because to me, the days of free media, it's a luxury. I think actual, real, investigative, independent journalism is a necessity. I really do. And if you think someone else is better for that, give your money there. That's fine. But we hope you choose us. So my final thoughts are this. I thought it was a good debate. Warren's on CNN right now, by the way. I think Bernie did better than anyone else, only because of how I think poorly he did in the first debate. Some of you might not agree, but I think he did very poorly in the first debate. I think he was way too passive. I don't think he was aggressive enough. I think he let Kamala Harris pretend to be a progressive, and Kamala Harris rose as a result of that. And by Bernie not really fighting in the first debate, he also allowed Elizabeth Warren the night before to shine. Ooh, Ty's shoulder's getting killed. I think we've been live for like an hour or so. We're going to end in a minute. So I think he outshined everyone just because he finally fought. He was like the dragon in Game of Thrones. I don't know if he took rocket fuel or Cardi B said, "Go get him, Daddy Bernie." He was excited. I do think Warren was good. I'm not going to be dishonest. I think she did a good job. But to me, the battle between Bernie and Warren will probably come later. This was important because I really think to the objective people watching, they really wiped out these idiot moderates who are basically saying, "Eat your broccoli, nothing big could come," because the donors won't allow nothing big to come. That's the truth. And I think Bernie, to a lesser extent Warren, and even Marianne Williamson really shine tonight. And that's good. If you're progressive, it was a good night for progressives. Politically and strategically, a very important thing is we got a lot of, even people we don't like, we need them all to clobber Joe Biden tomorrow. Because if Joe Biden has another poor debate performance, the Wall Street fat cats of America, I'm talking bankers, I'm talking fossil fuel, I'm talking pharma, I'm talking Silicon Valley, they're going to flock faster than your head can spin to Kamala phony for the people Harris. And if every point Biden goes down, that is a benefit to Bernie Sanders, Warren too, and progressives. Biden going down, if Biden loses that first tier, it's the wild, wild west. It's up for grabs. And I personally think Bernie, it might not show in every poll because the way they poll is oversampling older people, undersampling younger people. Bernie, the difference, and Obama had this in 2008, Bernie's got an army on the ground for him, and that makes the difference in winning primaries and, most importantly, general elections. I need water. Ty needs water. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm only asking one more time. Statuscoup.com/join. Thanks, Jen, for doing the super chat. She's got a migraine, so she was working a little hurt today, too. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
You just sound like a group of sick.
We are sick, so join us. Statuscoup.com. We're all sick. Thank you for watching. Peace out.